It's easy to get stuck reaching for the same familiar fruits and vegetables, even when you know a colorful variety is key. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggie supplements don't replace fruits and vegetables, but it makes it easy to add more variety to what you already eat. With 31 ingredients that are whole fruits and vegetables, switching it up is easy because we've already taken care of the hard part. Go to balanceofnature.com and get a free fiber and spice supplement, plus 35% off your first set as a new preferred customer by using discount code POD.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the soul of excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
Trump did not receive or send any of the messages. They largely predate his time as president, and he has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell. The White House is now responding and saying that, and I'm quoting now from the White House, the Democrats selectively leaked emails to the liberal media to create a fake narrative to smear President Trump, end quote.
It's unclear what their end strategy was, how far they wanted it to go, 80 days, 120 days. I don't know, but we do know that Democratic recriminations have now extended to the point where they're arguing with each other over why they shut the government down in the first place. Was it really about those subsidies? Did they just want to show that they could stand up for Trump, but they needed an issue to hang that on? They don't even agree on why they did what they did.
Welcome, my friends, to the Wednesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. There are two competing stories at the top of the news cycle today. One, the release of emails by Democrats and their allies, the Democrat mainstream media, trying to implicate and smear Donald Trump with the late Jeffrey Epstein. We all knew this was coming, and we knew it would begin when the government reopens. Today is the day that Representative Javelia will be sworn in, and that would give 218 members of the Congress that wanted a discharge petition to quote-unquote release all the files. So ahead of that comes this coordinated effort. Coordinated. It has to be. When you think about it, it's coordinated. So on this day, exactly, bright early in the morning, here comes the New York Times and others. Democrats release the emails. Of course it's coordinated. They had this stuff. It was to the New York Times. It was to all these publications. It's like, okay, we're going to release it on this day. As soon as the government comes back, as soon as we get enough votes, supposedly to release this discharge petition, let's bring up the Epstein stuff. In fact, Caroline Leavitt was asked to address it. I want to make some comments of my own, but first, let's just get the stuff out of the way that we have at this afternoon's press briefing. This is the link, Carlos. Caroline Leavitt was asked about this Epstein nonsense.
By House Democrats. Separate from why you believe the emails were made public, can you address their substance? Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her, And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing, of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us. Mary.
Thank you, Kelly. 2 questions on this. In the interest of transparency, why not just go ahead, release the full files on Epstein, get this all over with?
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever. In fact, this administration, the Department of Justice, has turned over tens of thousands of documents to the American people. We are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee. That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans' efforts to get these out to the public.
The House Republicans have also today released 23,000 pages of documents from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein after months of delays. This reporting comes from the New York Times. The move came shortly after Democrats disclosed emails from that trove suggesting President Trump knew far more about Mr. Epstein's sex trafficking than he previously acknowledged. That is not, by the way, what it proves. In fact, there's a quote that they keep saying with somebody in the Epstein emails. Of course, it was to this girl, this gets lame, whatever her name is, in jail. I'm in jail now. And supposedly Epstein says, of course Trump knew about the girls, but nobody's talking about the rest of the sentence. Here's the whole paragraph, the way it's reported in the New York Times. And in January 2019, email released by Democrats, Mr. Epstein flatly asserted that Mr. Trump, then in his first term as president, was well aware of his relationship with young women, writing, of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. What does that really mean in context? Yes, stop. So, I mean, this business, and then you have this author, this Wolf guy, that was trying to figure out a way, apparently in these emails, that Epstein could try to blackmail Trump with something. You can let him hang himself if he says he was never on your plane. Well, he admitted he was on the plane. And we also had admissions he did nothing wrong. And that was from this woman that Democrats sought to redact her name today, even though she's been public as saying Trump did nothing wrong. So all of this. Now, one other soundbite that we have regarding Epstein, and it's from a 2024 report. You won't hear it much today. This from 2024, cut to on CNN, with dealing with Epstein.
New details this morning. Hundreds of new pages have been unsealed in a lawsuit connected to convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The victim alleges that former President Clinton pressured Vanity Fair not to run a story on Epstein. The pages also shed new light on how Epstein's victims were recruited and what happened to them. CNN's Gene Cesaris joins us now. And Gene, we're talking about 900 pages here, so there's a lot to go through. What new details have come out?
Well, they came out last night, combing through them. And, this all stems from a 2015 civil suit brought by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell. And Virginia Giuffre had wanted her story to come out. She wanted a book. And so she became very close with a reporter out of Britain. And this reporter was encouraging her to go to the Vanity Fair magazine, to have them do an article on it. And here is what, in a newly undisclosed email from 2011, here's what Virginia Giuffre says. She says, considering that B. Clinton walked into VF, Vanity Fair, and threatened them not to write sex trafficking articles about his good friend, J.E., Jeffrey Epstein, so she didn't want to do it.
Yeah. His good friend. By the way, anybody forget? Carlos, have you seen the picture of Bill Clinton in the blue dress? You haven't seen it. If you Google it, and many people will, it shows Bill, and the blue dress is symbolic, by the way. This stuff predates you. And so I'd have to go through an education course. The blue dress, by the way, is how Bill Clinton's lie that he was never had sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. He went out and told America that when it was accused that she was giving him, how shall we say, oral gratifications in the oral office. he went out on TV. He wagged his bony little finger, his bony big finger apparently, in front of America and said, I never had sex with that woman, Monica, and I have to get back to work. And then later on down the line, and this all, I'm shortcuts here, just getting to the point, it was discovered that Monica still had a blue dress. And on that blue dress was Bill Clinton's DNA from his from the results of the gratifications that took place with Ms. Lewinsky. And that's why the blue dress becomes, and references to the blue dress. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, in his big New York apartment, had a huge, it looked like it was at least 8 feet tall, a big portrait of Bill Clinton sitting in a chair, legs crossed sideways, in high heels and a blue dress. Freaky. But the relationship between Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein was a monumental relationship. And that I'm bringing it up for a reason, because the mainstream press never talks about that. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, I could give a rat's ass about the whole Epstein matter at this point. I don't care. I don't care. After decades of following the news, decades, watching the time when Bill Clinton was in office and there were donations being made from foreign governments, the White House bedroom at one point was used as an auction point to come in and donate, and you can get a chance to stay in the Lincoln bedroom, things like that, to all the stuff that happened with Whitewater that was never swept, that was swept under, all the way through the Clinton presidency from day one till the time he led it. There's scandal after scandal after scandal. None of it fully investigated by the mainstream press. You have Barack Obama's administration. Fast and Furious, gun running stuff that cost a border agent his life. The government involved in gun running, dealing with terrorists, narco-terrorists down in Mexico. Never explained. The incident in Benghazi, American diplomat killed. The Biden administration an operation based on a lie. Never explored. No one ever held accountable. You had so many scandals, including Crossfire Hurricane, the Obama administration using the government to try to depose a president of the United States, apparently. And Arctic Frost, the wholesale spying on Congress. And you get zero interest on any of these and so many more scandals that have affected the American people and have been terrible abuses of our system by the Democrat Party. Their allies in the mainstream press could give a hoot about any of it. All of these things, so anxious, never fully investigated, not even inquisitive. In fact, the mainstream press saw their job and sees it now as to shield the American public from the abuses that have taken place by the Democrat Party. So you know what? When it comes to all this stuff with Epstein, I don't care. I could care less. And I think any Republican that signs on to this discharge petition with Democrats ought to be run out of the party. Frankly, I'm tired of seeing these Republicans, and these Republicans that want to make a name for themselves going on social media. Ooh, we need everything about Epstein. You people need to be thrown out of office. You're aiding and abetting people that want to take your president down and who have protected Democrat real abuses of power for years. And you gleefully go along with this nonsense. And you should be thrown out of office. I don't care about the Jeffrey Epstein. There were victims. Yes, I know. And if people can actually he's dead. If there were others who trafficked these girls and you have proof of it, take them to court and make them held accountable. But this political garbage that's going on with Epstein, I have no tolerance for it, no interest in it, and I don't care. And Republicans that are wasting their trying time to help Democrats take down their own president, you shouldn't even be in office. And I hope that every single one of you in the House that goes along with this gets a primary right up your... I gotta take a break. James Golden, Snerdley. The next segment is going to be short. I'm sorry. We'll get to it when we get right back. Don't go away.
Rush. This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Oh, Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
One of the stories that I read, people, was that I just saw something that cracked me up. This Colorado Congresswoman Boebert, that Boebert gal that's usually in the news for something or another that we'd not like to see her in the news for, is one of the ones apparently with this discharge petition. And I wrote that I think Princess Diana and I are texting each other, and I said to her, apparently this Boebert woman is at the White House today, and apparently she's one of them clamoring for this discharge petition. If she signs on, she should be discharged. And then Princess Diana sent me the icon of it's just the horror face. I don't even want to think about Boebert discharge. Yeah, maybe I should have worded that differently. But whatever Republican signs on with this Democrat nonsense over Epstein, I don't care who they are, give them a primary challenge and spend money backing them to be completely thrown out of this party. It is time to stop playing games. You see what these people have done just in the last 7 weeks to try to destroy this president, to try to destroy his agenda. I don't know why any Republican, any person in their right mind that is a Republican would sign on to try to help Democrats achieve their objectives. Especially signing on with the mainstream press and the Democrats to try to take down your own president. If you do, you should be gone. We'll be back. There's so much more in the news, too, including stuff with the BBC. So don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
I think it's important that we understand that this is not just about Senator Schumer, but that this is about the Democratic Party. Senator Schumer, there's no one vote that ended this shutdown. We are talking about a coordinated effort of 8 senators with the knowledge of Leader Schumer voting to break with the entire Democratic Party in exchange for nothing. And now people's health care.
Well, Brian, it's the Democrats tried to stop President Trump. They couldn't stop him in the courts. They couldn't stop him with the mainstream media. So they shut down the government. And they've taken the mask off. Ezra Klein in the New York Times yesterday actually said this was never about health care. This was about President Trump and his totalitarianism. So they were willing to cost the government tens of billions of dollars. The economy was in a great place, 3.8% growth last quarter, tracking very well this time. I think we're going to accelerate into 2026, but they've caused a hiccup here.
Okay, so you heard from AOC and, of course, from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Oh, Scott Bessent, he's just great. I have another quote we didn't even get to from this week, giving an education lesson to some of the journalists over at NBC. James Golden, Snerdley. Okay, BBC. BBC's having a cow. A cow. Let's go to cut 12. Caroline Leavitt, again from the presser today, White House presser, asked about it. Here you go.
So the clock is ticking on the Friday deadline by which the BBC must retract and apologise for their malicious edits of the president in the documentary shown last year. The recently resigned Director General of the BBC yesterday described the organisation as the very best of society and blamed the enemies of the BBC for this outcome. Also yesterday, a senior government minister launched a fierce defence of the channel in the House of Commons, saying that the broadcaster remains a light on the hill for people all over the world. So, does the President feel that the network is taking the situation seriously? Does he believe that they've shown sufficient regret? Does this strain the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC in his pursuit of truth and justice?
Well, thank you, Bev. There's a lot of questions in one there. I will say I know the President has a very good relationship with Prime Minister Starmer. You have been there. You've seen them in their interactions. You've questioned both leaders in your time joining us when we've gone to the United Kingdom a few different times now. However, he has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. And I think that the President was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing of his speech that was so clearly fake news. And he rightfully dubbed that term many years ago, and this is a classic example of that. We see it in the United States all the time. We see it now in the United Kingdom. As you know, the President's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them.
Yes, my friends. Let me give you the long and short of it, because the BBC, and you'll hear we have two other bites from MPs and the members of Parliament, including that one from the House of Commons that Caroline Leavitt referred to. And by the way, I love the House of Commons. I love watching it because the Prime Minister, it would be the equivalent of the President going into the bowels of Congress and letting the opposition party, Democrats, just barrage him with questions. That's what happens when you look at these sessions where the Prime Minister shows up in the House of Commons, and he's there just taking questions and remarks from the members, especially members of the opposition. It's beautiful to watch, to me, always has been. But anyway, here's what happened. The BBC ran a documentary on January 6th. They outsourced part of it to some producers, but it was still theirs. And these guys took different parts of two different Trump speeches and selectively edited them together to make it look like Trump was encouraging an insurrection. It wasn't a mistake. It was a willful propaganda edit designed to make Trump look like he was fomenting an insurrection in the United States. Trump is now suing the BBC for $1 billion. The heads of the BBC, the head of the whole schmear, resigned, as well as the head of the news division. And so that's what's going on there. Now, from the House of Commons, cut 11. This is what that sounded like in the House of Commons with this under discussion.
Mr. Speaker, a great British institution is under attack from a foreign government. President Trump is trying to destroy our BBC, not because he cares about the truth, but because he doesn't want to get away with his lies. Trump has undermined press freedom in America. Now he's trying to do the same here, disgracefully egged on by the leader of Reform. So will the Prime Minister tell President Trump to drop his demand for $1 billion settlement from the BBC? And will he guarantee that President Trump will not get a single penny from British licence fee payers?
Let me be clear. I believe in a strong and independent BBC. Some would rather the BBC didn't exist. Some of them are sitting up there. I'm not one of them. Yes. In an age of disinformation, the argument for impartial British news service is stronger than ever. And where mistakes are made, they do need to get their house in order, and the BBC must uphold the highest standards, be accountable and correct errors quickly. But I will always stand up for a strong, independent BBC.
But notice what he didn't say. No, I'm not going to tell President Trump not to sue for $1 billion. Mistakes were made. They weren't mistakes. It was evil reporting, the same kind we have here. And guess what? Yeah, Trump collected from ABC, collected from CBS. Now let's add another 3 letters onto it. BBC. If he gets the $1 billion from BBC, maybe he can put another 3-4 stories on his presidential library. That would be the British collection and the British contribution. Anyway, one more on this. We have another MP over there. What is her name? Munira Wilson. She was on one of the shows over at the BBC. They're talking about the folks. The liberals over there, very, very upset. They're quite upset about this. Here she is. That's cut number 10, Carlos. Here she is. She's also very upset.
And the thing that worries me most about how this is all unfolded is the fact that when Donald Trump got involved and called the BBC corrupt, that we've had these 2 resignations overnight, and we've now had his press secretary claiming this as a victory for Trump. Now, the BBC belongs to Britain, and I think we should all be concerned whether it's foreign powers or indeed domestic powers, and we know that there are the likes of Farage and Reform who would love to see the BBC destroyed. That really worries me, because we cannot see the Trumpification of our politics and our media landscape. We've seen what that's done in America. So this is a moment for the BBC to reset and restore trust.
Yeah, we can't see the Trumpification. What does that mean? In other words, they can't do it like they do in America, where all of a sudden their liberal media lies are being held to account. That's what the Trumpification of the news is. We're not letting you get away with lying anymore. We can't have that. You've got that Nigel Farage over here. Reformer Nigel Farage. We don't like these people. They're disrupting our hold on the left. That's all this is about. Okay, moving on. Other things in the news. Yes. Democrats are still engaging in their shutdown talk. I love this. The more you hear about Democrats, are they sorry about the shutdown? Cuts 3 and then cuts 6, Carlos. Play them back to back. We got Ro Khanna first with Jake Tapper on CNN. And then we have 2 senators on CNN, John Hickenlooper of Colorado. And after Mr. Hickenlooper, we'll turn to Jack Reed of Rhode Island. I started to say Long Island, of Rhode Island. So here it is, Ro Khanna, Hickenlooper, and Jack Reed.
Can we assume you're going to vote against this bill, effectively voting to keep the government closed? And what's your message to the approximately 5,300 federal government employees in your district who are not getting paid in the shutdown?
Jake, first let me just thank all the veterans out there today, and especially the 101-year-old World War II veteran in your studio. What an incredible story. Let me say this. I am going to vote no, because I believe we need to make sure that health care premiums don't spike.
Shutdown worth it?
Yeah, I think so. I hate it.
But, yeah, it was worth it, definitely. We got people to pay attention to the fact that this is a traumatic, in many cases, life or death situation for people all over this country.
Was the shutdown worth it?
I think it was, because I think the perception, we made it clear that this, not just the healthcare issue, but the whole issue.
So they're not sorry in the least. They don't care, and many of them would keep it closed further if they could get away with it. They don't care about your pain and suffering. Now, folks, here during the week we can't take calls because it's too much to do and all that. But I've decided today we are going to take a call, sort of. Here, I have a caller that was on with a California Democrat, Sam Liccardo. And he called in. Sam Liccardo was on C-SPAN. And a guy called in. Well, I didn't get whether it was on the Democrat or the Republican line, but the caller was brilliant. So here's a call on Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Thank you to our C-SPAN.
Who shut down the government? And you don't even answer it because I know who it is. It was the Democrats. So let's put that to bed. Now let me ask you another question. I agree with Democrats on this. Public sentiment is in favor, probably on their side, when it comes to subsidies for the ACA for the lower income people. I'm a retiree. I don't have ACA. But I have a hard time paying more taxes. I do well, but paying more taxes to subsidize people who are making more money than I am.
That caller was brilliant. And, of course, he got the usual drivel. That's why we didn't even bother from the Democrat, just driveling on. But the point was brilliant. And this goes back to something Princess Di talked about with us when we did the show on Saturday together in the last hour. 7% of people in the United States use Obamacare. You got all this angst over a program that's used by 7% of the American people. And the subsidies that are flowing to, in many cases, people that are high earners because they have expanded it, and they expanded it under COVID protocols. This entire thing has been a sham. The New York Times today had a story. What if this is something to the headlines? I didn't even bother printing it out. What if this turns out to be a win for Democrats? After all, well, what if donkeys can fly? I mean, so big, it's not. All right, a few other things before we leave here. Gasm is in Brazil. Gavin Newsom made a deal. Supposedly, he's touting it. He's down there pretending he's some kind of world leader. He's at some conference for climate change. I forgot the name of it. Something ridiculous. Bot or stop, whatever it is. And he's touting this deal that he made with California has made a deal with Nigeria, the land of 1,000 scams. If you ever open up your email and you get scams, come on. I'm a princess in Nigeria, and I went to the bank, and I've got $15,000 $15 million that I'd like to share with you if you just send me $10,000 so that I can hold the money and get the money wired to you, your $15 million. It's like a land of 1,000 scams. And so Gavin Newsom goes over there. He's sitting next to some Nigerian woman that's in government or something, and he's then sending out social media messages about how he just made some big deal with Nigeria. And he probably doesn't even realize he's about to be scammed, most likely. But then again, the whole global climate change stuff was a scam. So it's scams on top of scams. And this is his big claim to fame, going over there acting like he's some kind of big highfalutin world leader. Jasmine Crockett's in the news. Her expenditures have been released. This woman is spending a ton of money staying in first-class luxury digs all over the country, and her security detail is running up I think she paid like 50 G's for security. This is the woman that wants to defund the cops for you, but when it comes for her own security, she wants to spend about 50 G's. It's funny. Now, the Kennedy grandson, this guy Schlossberg, 32-year-old, who has been in the news doing some bizarre things. He's running for the Nads seat, Jerry Nads, out of Queens. Jerry Nadler, the Nads. So he announced he's going to be launching his campaign to replace Nads in New York. And blah, blah, blah. I just have a word for Mr. Schlossberg. You know, JFK would be a conservative Republican today, his policies. And you Democrats hate that. Outside of that, the Camelot era, the 1960s are over. Nobody young in this country doesn't even remembers when the Kennedys had a political dynasty. It's old news. When Senator Ted Kennedy passed away, they had this big funeral. They drove the motorcade like it was a presidential motorcade out of their big place up in the compound up in Hyannisport. And then they showed it getting on the plane, and they drove his hearse, the hearse with his coffin in Washington, D.C. They were expecting people to line up in the streets. Nobody was there. It was embarrassing. And the news networks were covering it. Camelot is over, Schlossberg. And it's not coming back. Anyway. James Golden, Snerdley. Don't go away.
Rush. This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Oh, Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
Rush.
Now, here's James Golden.
American session drummer Tommy Thompson passed away on this day in 2003. Tommy Thompson, Chic, Duran Duran, Power Station, and so many other hits. Also born on this day, Booker T. Washington, Jones. I almost call him Booker T. Washington because Carlos said. Booker T and the MGs. We got to go. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, family, and your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your always being here with me. God willing, back tomorrow. Till then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.